Day 46 of Daddy in Dubai. And today is unlike any other day, which is like every day, right? So, grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, whenever you are watching this sunshine, whether you're 10, 11, 12, doesn't matter how old you are, this is your digital daddy that is here to guide you forever, right? And look, day 46 of Daddy in Dubai. What can I say? Sweet. It's a sweet, sweet, sweet day because something arrived today that I've been waiting for the whole time I've been here. Um, it's in my bag. Can you guess what it is? It's an official document that allows me to say, Habibi, come to Dubai. Yeah? It's the one little card I required to create what I desired. So it's a great day. In fact, it's even greater than that. So if you are Hindu and you're watching this today, today is what we call Ramnavmi. So a lot of the Hindus are celebrating this. It's an auspicious day for that reason. And look, if even if you're not a Hindu, it's an auspicious day. You know why? You woke up. If you woke up today from your sleep, remember 1 million people around the world this week will go to bed and not wake up. So for that reason, that's the basic number one reason you should celebrate. You got another day. My uncle always says every day is a bonus, right? We don't know what's going to happen. So as well as all this epicness, life, memorable things that happened, as far as getting my IDs concerned, the fact that I woke up, the fact that it's a special day for the Hindus, the fact that it's a special day for human beings that woke up. To add to that, that another element was added to this um, series of sharing information and knowledge that I've learned over the last 46 days. And you could say there is an element of what I've learned in the last 50 years, right? That also steps into this. So if you're not my son, welcome. Um, as a YouTube thing, you got to do is like, subscribe, set your notifications. And like I say this every single time. Feel free to comment, ask questions, whatever. I promise you, I will get back to you. And it's a beautiful day. So, so beautiful. And what's going to happen as of today and possibly tomorrow is other people are going to join me on this Daddy in Dubai day 46, day 47, day 48, day 40. And each day, I'm going to invite somebody that's helped me, uh, first of all, on the journey over the last period of time, because, when you leave your family, your wife and your son, and you leave everybody and you go to a foreign country, it does have its moments, right? And some of you may be watching this thinking, nah, that never happens to Dizzy. But trust me, I have had moments. It might have only lasted for a minute, but I've had those moments where I was like, shit, man, excuse my French. I'm by myself. There's nobody here. I want to acknowledge my younger brother Rishi, um, because he sent me a message the other day, as I was walking through the mall, and he just said, "Hey Diz, I'm just checking in on you, man," and it touched my heart because he's my little brother, and he was just messaging to see if I was okay. And he had a comforting message, which was he believed that my friend Kalpesh and his partner Sue and his mum were still here. And I said, no, no, they're not there. They're not here at the moment. They've gone to Thailand. So I'm actually here on my own. And in that moment, when I realized I was on my own, I felt a little bit vulnerable, but probably about a minute. Yeah. And then I was all right. But for that minute, it stirred up something that doesn't normally happen. But listen, like I said, only lasted a minute. But I am human. I do feel these human emotions. Um, but the one thing I want to share with you, Sunshine, is life is always on the way, never in the way, as John D. Martini says. Um, and when you are in touch with your purpose of why you're here, I was privileged enough at the age of 19 through a process, through meditation, whatever you want to call it, there was a message that was delivered to me as to why I was born on planet Earth and what I was here to do. And you know what? I said to them, can I still be a hairdresser if that's my job? And they said, yeah, yeah, of course you can. Now you're probably wondering who is the they? Irrelevant. You could call it voices. You could call it God. You could call it your spirit guide, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter, right? What you call this thing called the source, when they say your gut feeling, deep down inside, you know what you need to do. You know what's right for you. And, if you're an adult watching this, you will know that there is that gut feeling, right? And that gut feeling never lies, man. Um, as you get older, a lot of people may be able to relate to this, but you don't trust your gut. And once something happens, you said, you know what, my gut said this. How many of you can relate to that? So the thing is, and I've said this before, that life is an inside job. Everything you see on the outside is a direct reflection of what's going on in the inside. And there is a third book within me, and it's called Magic and Miracles. And it's the story of two people that see the same thing at the same time. And when they go back to their memory, one sees magic, the other one sees misery. And how is that possible? How is it that two people can see the same event at the same time and see complete opposite views of it? And it relates back to something called quantum physics, right? And quantum physics is the measure is measuring things at the quantum level, and the quantum is the smallest thing that we can measure, right? And I learned this at the John D. Martini's breakthrough seminar, and he said that the greatest discovery of mankind through quantum physics is that you can change everything based on your thought, right? So let me give you an example. If the smallest thing we can measure is a quantum, right? It's the smallest thing. That means everything we see is made of quantums, okay? But what they discovered in quantum physics was if there's a quantum behind you just over there and you don't look at it, it's neutral, right? It's neither good or bad. It's neither positive or negative. The moment you look at it, it becomes positive or negative. And if you relate that to life, it's the same thing, right? Two people can see the same thing at the same time. One sees it as a positive experience or a positive look on it, and the other one sees it as a negative. The actual truth is It's neither one of the other. Look, as you get older, son, um, perception will change. There are things that are important to you now that weren't important to you when you were four. When you were four, Paw Patrol, um, Chase, Sky, Rocky, all of those guys were super high and important to you, right? Now, if I mention Paw Patrol, are you interested? No. I remember a time when you were into Pokemon, right? You were obsessed with Pokemon. You were obsessed with Bakugangs, right? When you were obsessed on these things, your perception changed, right? As you get older, right now you're 10. You might be watching this and you're 16. You might be watching this and you're 18. You might be 30. I don't know when you're going to watch this and how many times you're going to watch it. But when you do watch it, understand that your perception will change. And when your perception changes, so does your view of the world. The view of everything changes based on your perception. That's what came out today. I mean, look, there's lots more to come. Today was epic, is epic, is even becoming even more epic. I mean, look, there's more stuff that's happened today, which I'm not going to share yet. Purely because this information is not for public consumption yet. Yeah, it will be revealed. It will be revealed. All in good time. And look, when I say all will be revealed, so will reveal itself, right? The whole reason this whole project, the channel that's devoted to my son, revealing the times to my son, that only exists because of what happened Saturday night before I left. You know what happened, right? You were there. You were a witness to the event. And it was chaos, wasn't it? The Saturday night the night before I left to come to Dubai was absolute chaos. And some of you may still have the memory and you still may be traumatized. Okay. And if you are still traumatized from an event that happened 47 days ago, we need to get some help there, right? Because whatever happened 47 days ago is now only a memory. And you can't let a memory traumatize you because it's not real. It doesn't exist now. And your memory of a trauma is only traumatic because you don't see any benefits to it, right? So I know for a fact, and I'm truly, truly grateful to everyone that's played their part in this traumatic stroke, genius stroke, amazing, amazing um, event that had it not have happened, this conversation would not be happening. So, Sunshine, you might be watching this, and like I said, I don't know how old you are when you watch this. You might be 10, you might be 11, you might not watch it until you're in your 30s or 40s or even 50s, right? But understand that other people might watch this, and this might just be the thing that you need to hear to get your head clear, to help you steer yourself while you're here. It wasn't supposed to rhyme, but it just came out. Um, there is probably going to be a part two to day 46 of Daddy in Dubai, only because once I've completed this in 2.5 hours, 3 hours, I'm going to go to Wafi Mall and break my fast. And once I've had my culinary experience, and I'm just so looking forward to breaking my fast, because when you fast all day, like last time I ate was last night, when I eat again, the best part of fasting is that first meal, man. Does that food taste good? Wow. And the fact that the food tastes that good, for me, is a good enough reason to fast. There are obviously added benefits, right? By fasting, your stomach gets a rest. You appreciate your food when you have it, and it operates a level of discipline within yourself, especially when there are no negative outcomes. I'm not doing it for Ramadan. I'm not doing it for religion. I'm doing it for me. And you know what? I want to thank myself, give myself a pat on the back, because my good friend Chris, and I don't know if he'll ever come on this YouTube channel. He may do, but he's an absolute legend. And just so you know, right? And I discovered this a little while ago when I met this guy, Chris. He owns a platform called Monaxa, but the name Chris is uh is special in my life, because I remember when I was 26, no, 26 or 27, when I went to do my first ever Tony Robbins UPW, which stands for Unleash the Power Within. When I first ever went to that, the person that got me into it was a guy called Chris, a Cypriot barber, right? And big up, Chris. You've been a legend ever since I've known you, and you've shown me pathways that are still present with me today. Still, um, you're still part of my mix, right? You were a father figure, an older brother figure. You were a guide for me when I went to London. And Chris was there all the time, right? And then I remember when I moved to Manchester and I got married, another Chris came into my life. This guy's name was Philip Christolalides, right? So another Chris. Now, bear in mind, the first Chris was a barber, and he was great. And he was from Cyprus. Then, after that, another Chris turned up in the shape of Philip Christodoulides. And no surprise, he's Cypriot and he's a barber. Fast forward to where we are now. You're not going to believe it. There's another Chris, Cypriot. I don't think he's a barber, but he's equally as inspiring. He's equally my friend, and he's another Chris. And I said this to Kalpesh this morning. I sent him a message. I said, "Isn't it funny how there's always been a Chris in my life, and how that relates to Tony Robbins?" On the first UPW I ever went to, he tells a story about a waiter called Chris, and how Chris was one of the greatest people he ever met. And Chris ended up working for him, and I'm sure Chris is probably still in his life. And I guess there was that thing that when I met Tony Robbins, I thought, wow, nobody told me at school that you can get paid to talk. That was never a career option. But after meeting Tony Robbins, experiencing UPW, I realized that you can get paid to talk. And as a hairdresser, I used to talk, blow dry, cut, blow dry, cut, and do all of these things, right? But the main factor within all of this was I would love talking. And I think I still like talking. And what I found was, I realized after the Tony Robbins event, I thought, if it's possible for me to stop cutting and just keep talking and get paid to do that, that's what I want to do. And I like talking more so than I like walking. No, I'm just joking. I like walking too, and stalking, and all of the stuff that rhymes with talking. But that was something that I wanted to master. And now I have the title of the storytelling hairdresser because as I um, discovered Tony Robbins and the whole world of personal development, there are so many speakers out there: Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Dennis Waitley, um, Brian Tracy. All of these guys are phenomenal speakers. John DeMartini, John Keogh from Mind Power. I remember when I first heard John Keogh speak, he gave me a new distinction of how to speak. When I heard Les Brown speak and the LB Triple P Planet playing Papa, they were none before me, they were none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only certified, bonafide, double dick qualified, guaranteed satisfaction with a whole lot of action. I'm your love man, and baby, I'm hungry. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, wow, who are you? And I mastered that as you hear. I didn't quite do it in a Les Brown voice, but I have done it in a Les Brown voice. And I did it in a Les Brown voice to somebody called Johnny Wimbry. Johnny Wimbry, who I met in Dallas when we went to meet Success University founder Matt Morris and the whole plan. As we got into Johnny Wimbry's car going to lunch, Cowpish said to Johnny, he goes, "Oh, Dizzy does an impression of Les Brown." And I went and did it, and he went, "Wow, you sound just like Les." So we had lunch, came back in the car, and Johnny was on the phone, and he went, "Dizzy, can you do your impression of Les? I got a friend of mine on the phone." So I went, "Yeah, sure." I went in, I did my Les Brown, and guess what happened? It was Les Brown on the other end of the line. He went, "Who are you, boy? Oh my God." Anyway, so I told him who I was. The following month, Cowpish and I flew back to Dallas. And guess who was on stage? Mr. Les Brown himself. And he knew I was in the audience. And at the end of his seminar, he said, "I met a young man by the name of Dizzy. Are you here, boy? Get on up here." And no word of a lie, I did an impression of Les Brown with Les Brown on stage. And you can't make that stuff up, man. So look, I'm going to end on that note because I'm going to get myself changed to head to my next destination. And it's been a beautiful day so far. And there's still more time to go. I know that the next few hours are going to be epic. One, I'm going to eat my food because I'm starving and I'm not ready to, I'd love to eat now, but obviously I've got 2.5 hours. It's only 3:30 here right now. And then look, the other day, two kids came up to me in the mall. They ran up to me and they said, excuse me, sir. Can we ask you some questions about business?" Now, there was nothing to say that I was a businessman. There was nothing to say that I could give them advice. I didn't look like somebody that could do that, right? And what happened, the first thing I asked them, I said, "How many people have you approached? And how many have been willing to speak to you?" And they said, "We've approached 5 people. You're the first person that said yes to answering some questions, right?" So I said, "Look, what does that tell you? The first thing it tells you is you have to speak to 5 people to get one person to speak to you, right? That's a ratio." That was the first thing I taught them. And I taught them that it's because this is what I've learned. So on that note, I have a conversation with one of those young gentlemen. I gave him some homework to do. And today we're going to meet up and let's find out what he's done with his homework and how we're going to move forward. But look, there's more to come. Love you to the moon and back, sunshine. This is your digital daddy, officially Habibi. As of today, day 46 in Dubai. Like I said, love you to the moon and back, son. Go live your dreams.